So picture this. Most people book hotels on Expedia. Me? I booked mine on the streets of Endicott, New York for free. I was homeless, broke, and in active addiction, which meant I had to get real creative with where I slept. And trust me, these places make Motel 6 look like the Ritz. So here it is, the top 10 craziest, dirtiest places I ever called home sweet home. First up, the legendary Endwell Motel. This place is full of class. Even the bedbugs there pay rent. They got duct tape holding the wallpaper up. When I couldn't cough up $50 for a room, I slept right here in this back storage room. Check this out. Dark, dingy. You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. But yeah, I'll give this place 5 stars on Yelp. Next, here is Washington Ave, Endicott, New York. Now, above this nail salon, that was my old apartment. Until I got a warrant. And when the cops came looking for me, and I knew they were actually looking for me, I had to leave. Eventually, a bunch of addicts and squatters took over and destroyed the place, but I call this place home whether I lived in the apartment or not. Actually, some nights I'd sleep on this stairwell or I'd sleep on the back stairwell. Yeah, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. But all along Washington Ave here, the drugs, all free-flowing, and sleeping arrangements sometimes are improv. Next, we have the rooftop crash spot. Now, speaking of upgrades, I once found this 3rd floor back alley apartment where you could sneak out onto the roof. Nothing says secluded getaway like nodding off on a roof. Hope you don't fall off. Next, the Endicott Motor Lodge. The Endicott Motor Lodge, my personal playground. The big selling point, free HBO. Nothing goes better with free HBO than cockroaches crawling across the screen. The Chinese family who owned it, they would go downstairs to their living quarters, and I'd turn the lobby into my personal Airbnb until, they would kick me out in the morning, of course. I'll never forget one time, got a key from that desk right there and ended up crashing in a room for the night until I was kicked out. Next up, the infamous Knights Inn, known for drugs, prostitution, and banning me at least 5 times. When I couldn't afford a room, I would travel on back here to this little nook, this little stairwell. Yep, not one of my finer moments, to say the least. Shout out to the Knights Inn. Next up. Wow. This one is straight out of the Red Hot Chili Peppers song. Yup. Not one of my finer moments, to say the least, but I actually slept under the bridge going from Endicott to Vestal. Right back here on this ledge. The perfect Airbnb. Shot up drugs here multiple times. Actually crashed here multiple times. Not one of my finer moments. Now here we have an old motel that turned into apartments. One night I actually slept on those stairs right there in the dead of winter. Curling up with my ex-girlfriend. And it was survival at that point. There you have Nick's Pizzeria. Shout out Nick's Pizzeria. Now this is a 2-for-1. As we travel back here, you'll notice this alleyway. Now it's currently boarded up, but it wasn't at the time. Around the corner there was a couch thrown out in the garbage, and yeah, I literally garbage picked a couch, dragged it back to this alley. See, it's boarded up now, and I called it home. Nothing says luxury like sleeping on a soggy couch in a dark alley. Next, we have the Coin Laundry, aka the Speed Queen. Open 24/7. Every morning around 7 a.m., the cleaning guy came through and called the cops on any stragglers. So, the next spot, this was an apartment complex which was in really close vicinity to my plug. So anytime I would cop, I'd go here and actually slept on these staircases, I remember, waiting for my plug to answer. Dope sick as all hell, you know. And sometimes the laundry room was open. That was the go-to. Eventually this whole place had posters of myself saying, "Do not let this guy in." That's how crazy it got. So, and that's it. 10 of the wildest places I ever crashed when I was at my absolute lowest. Looking back now, it's funny. But at the time, it was survival. I was dope sick, broke, and homeless. But I made it through. Today, I get to laugh at it. And maybe you laughed at it too. But the truth is, if you're out there struggling like I was, there's a way out. Because if I can survive bedbugs, cops, couch surfing, and alleys, I promise, there's hope for anybody. This was Endicott's finest Airbnb tour. 0 stars. Not highly recommended.